Attention, fans of Unfinished Business Television, we're thrilled to announce our proud partnership with Super 7, the ultimate destination for collectors and pop culture enthusiasts alike. Visit super74.com/AJEPYX today. Use promo code AJEPYX, and let's keep the good times rolling here at Unfinished Business Television.
From executive producer Oliver Stone, meet Vanessa Lutz.
The cat drinks milk. I love you so much, Chopper.
I love you too, baby.
Her dad just doesn't get it.
Larry, get your goddamn hands off my anatomy.
Her mom is clueless.
You don't know nothing about nothing. You don't know a goddamn thing about nothing.
And her life is no fairy tale.
You having some kind of trouble?
This is a story of A, murder.
You the guy that's been killing all them girls on the freeway, Bob? You gonna do sex to me now?
B, revenge.
You accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior.
I want that little monster to pay for this.
Right now, we're the best friends you've got.
I'm so sure.
C, betrayal.
You don't believe we're your friends?
I believe you're out to ruin me.
D, survival.
Back in the hole, I decided all I need to live is my will.
E, all of the above.
I had this problem with anger.
We need to put an end to a system that lets dangerous, violent thugs be prosecuted as juveniles.
Holy shit. Look who got beat with the ugly stick.
Kiefer Sutherland, Reese Witherspoon, Brooke Shields, Amanda Plummer. Freeway.
Why are you doing this?
I'm pissed off and the whole world owes me.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to Unfinished Business Television Deep Dive, where we try to bring you movies from yesteryear and go deep in them, checking facts, checking information, and our memories of it. I am your host, Jeff Galashaw, Unfinished B1 on social media. I am your host, and with me, as always, is Andre Joseph, tech support, co-host extraordinaire of AJ Epics Productions.
Reese Witherspoon offered herself up for a bargain in this film.
Yes, the movie we're going to talk about is, to me, the movie that truly made Reese Witherspoon a star. This was before Legally Blonde, back when she was a struggling actress, and her biggest role to date had been Man in the Moon. That's right, we're talking about 1996 Freeway, directed by Matthew Bright and executive produced by Oliver Stone. This is kind of a modern white trash dark comedy version of, it's not Little Red Riding Hood, only with teenage prostitution, a pedophile serial killer, Brooke Shields, and a kind of, I guess, juvenile female prison reform film. This film, okay, I picked this film. I remember first hearing about this, reading the review in Variety, because this film came out of nowhere, but the main thing was Reese Witherspoon was in it, because I had a crush on her from the Lifetime movie, Man on the Moon. And I was not prepared for what I saw, because this was one of those HBO Friday night premieres, which was usually action. And when I first saw the trailer, I was just surprised from her prayer when she's like, please God forgive me and please don't hate me as much as you already do. And I was like, what? Keep in mind, I was a teenager when I saw this, so I'm like, that's kind of bold, so I was not ready for this film. And this film goes there when it comes to dark comedy. Reese Witherspoon's mother, played by Amanda Plummer, and her stepfather, who is molesting her. She is about to get sent to a group home when she decides she's going to run away and go see her grandmother. And she gets a gun from her gangster boyfriend, who then is killed. Her black gangster boyfriend. And her car breaks down, or her, I should say, social worker's car breaks down that she stole. And she gets picked up by Kiefer Sutherland, who's supposed to be this, I guess, kind of boys' schools guidance counselor, psychologist, who seems like he's really trying to help her, but really he wants to hear all her dirty stories to then torture her and kill her. But she gets the upper hand and ends up what she thinks killing him, but really just critically injuring him. And then she gets sent to prison, juvenile prison, and then she escapes and then has a final I guess, a final fight with him towards the end. This film, uh, I don't know if many of you've seen Freaked, directed by Alex Winter. This has that kind of like out of nowhere humor, but is much darker. And this is a film I highly recommend. And even watching it now, I'm still like, whoa, this is way still dark. But I will say, I wish we saw more of this Reese Witherspoon than Legally Blonde Witherspoon in films. Because this is, I think, like one of her riskiest roles she's ever taken. I mean, most of the film she's in like tight, revealing clothes throughout the film. But she's kind of somebody you root for, even though every character used racial language in this film. But I liked some of her like memorable lines, like "Keep your hands off my anatomy," and I just like lines like that. And this is way better than Freeway 2, where Natasha Lyonne kind of took over the role. Um, I really love this film. I loved Brooke Shields' small role, Dan Hedaya, Wolfgang Bodison from freaking A Few Good Men has a bigger supporting role. Bokeem Woodbine as Chopper, her boyfriend. Tara Subkoff, who was in this, and what was that name of that? All Over Me, and then became a fashion designer. I'm trying to think of other big names who were in it. Michael T. Weiss, who some of you might remember from The Pretender. Amanda Plummer from Pulp Fiction and The Fisher King. Um, Alana Ubach playing brownface really as a Latina, gang member. Um, yeah, I just love this movie. I've loved it since day one, and it has a score by Danny Elfman that you can't find anywhere, and apparently it was on CD at one point. Andre, tell me about your history with the film Freeway. And
So back in the early 90s, I only knew of Reese Witherspoon from Fear, which we had reviewed a few years back. And the video store I used to go to would have the poster up when it came out on home video. And from the cover, I thought it was kind of like The Hitcher because it had her in front of a car and Kiefer Sutherland's face being all big. I mean, clearly you could see he's a villain. She's the one that we're supposed to sympathize with. So I thought it was going to be that kind of movie, like just a road thriller. I didn't get to see this movie until during the pandemic when I just happened to be stuck on Tubi and decided to put this on. And you know what? The first time I saw it, I didn't even really remember it that well, other than the fact that, Kiefer Sutherland tries to do the deed to Reese Witherspoon and she gets the upper hand. Then watching it again for this episode, I'm like, this is actually a far more clever movie than I remember it to be. Not just because you have this colorful cast, but just the way the whole story plays out, where you think it's going to be, on one hand, this girl that's constantly getting into trouble and comes from a horrible home situation. And then all of a sudden, here she is getting to this conflict with Kiefer Sutherland, but then the tables get turned because everybody thinks he's the one that was victimized and she's the one that goes to jail. And I forgot about Brittany Murphy being in this.
oh yes,
Her character, that whole relationship that they have in the prison and the feud with the other inmate that happens. So yeah, I mean, this was like a very risky part, kind of like the way Morgan Freeman played a pimp in Street Smart, but never did anything that edgy after that. I would see the same thing with Reese Witherspoon here. To play such white trash and to be a cheap prostitute at that. And we've never seen, I'm not saying she should be playing prostitutes for us, nothing that intense or edgy. She's been playing it safe for so long between Sweetheart Alabama and all the Legally Blonde movies. And like, I want that to come back when she was like a solid actress. And that whole vibe that Matthew Bright created, which became a staple for all the movies that he wrote, like Gun Crazy, and then of course doing these sequels. um he totally captures something that really feels like, on one hand, this could be a straight thriller, but then there's something more complex in terms of it being kind of social drama, something very political about it, which I think is why Oliver Stone produced it. Talking about the legal system, talking about the media. There's so much going on in it that it really elevates the story to be something more than just a take on Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, it's still very disturbing watching the film. I also like that it's kind of a reunion of sorts, like Wolfgang Bodison and Kiefer Sutherland, who were both in A Few Good Men. You have Alana Ubach and Reese Witherspoon, who would eventually co-star in Legally Blonde together. And Reese Witherspoon was one of the people who auditioned to play Cher in Clueless at one point, and that would have been interesting. I know that Reese Witherspoon exaggerated her accent to make it sound heavier watching this film. And at one point, this film almost was NC-17, which I'm still kind of shocked it wasn't. But then watching it today, thinking back on it, it's more explicit in your memory than it actually is on screen. Because realistically, the action sequences leave a lot to be desired. It's like, yeah, they didn't know how to choreograph this when you watch it, but it's still good enough for you to make it believable. And just watching this and how much I really love this film, it's that's how disappointing watching Freeway 2 is. It's like all the ingenuity, the creativity, it just left it. And Freeway 2, it just feels shocking to be shocking more. Mm. And especially when you have somebody like Natasha Lyonne, who seems like she would fit into the role like a glove, sort of. But unfortunately, the film escapes her, escapes Matthew Bright. It just escapes everybody. Whereas that just makes this film look so much better. This is a film I hope no one also never remakes, because it's perfect the way it is. And I don't know. I just really enjoy this film. I even think it's one of Kiefer Sutherland's better roles. Even if just for the makeup that they put on him. I think would you say he's more repulsive here or more repulsive in An Eye for an Eye? And
That's a good question. I think here, because he's playing very two-faced, and again plays up the sympathy card with his neck brace, the makeup job that they do on him. Like, he's really scary and creepy. Whereas in Eye for an Eye, it's more cartoonish, I think, where it's got that stupid mullet and the handlebar not really a handlebar mustache, but still, they over exaggerate it too much.
and do you think Brooke Shields took her role because of what eventually happens to her character?
I think so. I mean, again, she was in that period where she was really trying to break out of what she was in the 80s and had done a lot of theater in between. She was trying to diversify herself. She ended up doing a movie Black and White and making out with Elijah Wood.
So the last said about that film.
Yeah. She probably had an agent that really tried to find the most different roles for her, and this was one of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm just like, I wish you would have continued with films like this or Freaked, which like I guess kind of made fun of her image. Cause like in this film, she's like supposedly the perfect wife, and then once she discovers what her husband's really been up to, spoiler alert, she shoots herself in the bathroom, which they don't show, but then we see the grisly aftermath of. And I'm just like, unfortunately, I think this was like the last big role of Wolfgang Bodison in anything. And Even though he seems more, at first he's ready to lock Vanessa up, but then he's the one who's like, no, something's wrong here. And he's the crusader out to prove that she's innocent. And it's weird that they get there, like, okay, again, spoiler, after she's tussling with, a Kiefer Sutherland, and then after Reese finally kills him, they're all like sharing a laugh outside, like, oh, you've really got him.
I want the freeze frame, like they do on all the TV shows back then.
Exactly. After she says, hey, does anybody have a cigarette? Even though we've never seen her smoke during this whole movie. And also, really, did we need the shot to see her grandmother have been strangled and raped and is now nude? That was the only thing where I was just like, okay, now the film's gone a little too far.
Yeah, too far with the shock value.
Exactly. I mean, it was bad enough all the kiddie porn looking magazines he had in his shed that just come like running out. But then that, and I was just like, oh. But I still really enjoy this film. I think it's very inventive. I think it's a film more people need to see. This, I would say, is the pinnacle. Like, if I'm picking 5 best performances from an actress, this is definitely in Reese Witherspoon's top 5 next to Legally Blonde. And I could kind of, since she kind of play a similar character, I could see her being Cher in Clueless too. Even though that role does definitely belong to Alicia Silverstone, but I could see it, is what I'm saying. And let's see, is there any other trivia about Freeway? Other than my love of it. Let's see.
There was a character named the Shadow Man that was supposed to appear.
Yeah, who's supposed to kind of be like haunting her, but I'm like, she already got Bob. You don't need more people hunting her. I'm just wondering, considering Larry, her stepfather, appears in part 2, was he gonna really be the Shadow Man? Because he's the one who seems like to be the main one who kind of messed her up. Even like as her mother's turning tricks, we see she's about to like have sex with him when the cops come in. Which is weird because Vanessa's supposed to be a victim, but she seemed a little more willing in that scene. So that's why it was like kind of weird. And
the director revealed that in one of the scenes where she was trying to turn tricks, there was an actual John that tried to solicit her.
Yes, that upset her. Maybe that was one of the reasons she didn't return for Freeway 2 and the script.
Well, with more money by then, she already had election.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, do one for them, one for us, like add to the legacy of this cult film. You get to act with John Landis and Vincent Gallo, maybe he wanted you to be in the Brown Bunny. Considering that's a movie more about essentially an oral sex scene and it's called The Brown Bunny, you would think it'd be more about anal. Just a random thought, folks. That has nothing to do with this movie. Other than that seems to be what Bob really wants to hear about her doing. I say even though he's older and he's working, Kiefer Sutherland, before he ends his career, needs another memorable villain role. And I'm not talking in $100 million film, an indie film. I want to see him play a serial killer or something like that. And just as long as he doesn't come up with Truth or Consequences New Mexico too, his directorial debut. Do something better than that. I'm like, does he ever get mad when Kevin Bacon gets a job and he was up for it? And
I feel like they are always competing with the same parts, whether it's a racist or a rapist.
But I don't know why. I mean, Kevin Bacon has more of that middle of the road quality, whereas Kiefer Sutherland, maybe because I remember Stand By Me and The Lost Boys, he always has that more bad boy, like from the wrong side of the tracks look that like worked perfectly in A Time to Kill, as the leader of the redneck KKK group, who would probably be given a nice position of power in Trump's presidency. So Yeah, I had to throw in some political jab in all of this. So that ends our talk of Freeway from 1996, which I highly recommend if you want to see Reese Witherspoon in a whole new light. And even with all the bad taste, she's not nude in it. And, this is back when she was doing films like Best Laid Plans, movies like that. So I highly recommend it. Would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I think more people need to see it.
Exactly. This is definitely a beautiful cult item that needs to be celebrated more. Alamo Draft House. Also, Alamo Draft House. How are you going to play Party Girl, but then one Wednesday and you put it in your smallest theater? That's not fair. If we're going to celebrate an anniversary, I need, at least if you don't have faith in the biggest theater, maybe a mid-sized theater and multiple screenings. Dare you say it, 2 instead of 1? If not, Nighthawk. Can we get it? Freeway is a film. Nah, I wouldn't say go the riff tracks route. It's I think it's dark enough already. Nothing you can say will match its humor. But I say give it a try. Watch it pure. Try to be sober watching it. You're not going to believe your eyes or ears, especially half of Reese Witherspoon's lines. I wonder if she wants to, doesn't promote it because she's the N-word in it. But she has a black boyfriend in it, so it's
And Joaquin Woodbine of all people. I mean, go Joaquin.
Exactly. Again, one of the oldest looking high school students ever in this film. And gets killed by Latino gangsters because he gave his gun to her. And his name is Chopper. I kid you not. That is his character's name. And it looks like, and I forgot to mention, she's also illiterate in this film. Because she can't even put together a sentence that the teacher is really trying hard for her to read. But yeah, definitely go check this out. And that ends our business in the deep dive of it all. But we'll see you next time with another movie that we have locked away down here that we want to talk about.
If you like this review, please be sure to like and hit subscribe to be alerted to new episodes in the future.